This week, we meet one of South Jersey's outstanding Latino leaders, Mayor Santiago of Millville, New Jersey, and learn how that city is becoming the Arts District of Southern New Jersey. We also revisit our discussion with Pleasantville Mayor Jesse Twiddle and the new development that is reshaping that city. It's all here on this week's Latino Motion.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias, and thank you for joining us today. Thursday, January the 2nd, 2014, was a historic moment as Michael Santiago not only became the city of Millville's first Hispanic commissioner, but also the city's first Hispanic mayor. I'm pleased to have Mayor Michael Santiago with us today. Mayor, welcome to Latino Motion. And certainly that is a historic moment back on the beginning of 2014 when you were sworn in as mayor. And me and you were just recently at the swearing in of the first Latina judge over in Judge Lopez over in Salem County, so you knew what that feels like. Tell me a little bit about your emotions when you were being sworn in back on the beginning of January 2014.
Well, emotions, I just exploded. You know, it was just a great feeling, and it was nice that I was able to have my family there. You know, because you know us Latinos, we're very close knit.
Right.
So my mother was present. Unfortunately, I lost my dad that December,
Wow.
21st, but we knew he was there. It was a great accomplishment. It was something that really I didn't look out or never, I can say as a kid, dreamed about. But I knew there was a purpose for me to run for a commission, and there was a purpose for me to win. So I was very excited about it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background. Obviously, you were a former police officer.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about your career and what drew you to run for mayor.
Well, actually, what happened was, as a young kid, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was fortunate enough that my father had the foresight to move us from the city to better our life, so to speak. So we came to the city of Millville, the Holly city of Millville, which gave me an opportunity as a young person to get involved in different sports and community events. So I always wanted to be a policeman. You know, as a young kid in Brooklyn on the streets, there was a African-American police officer, Officer Moore, who would come around and gather all those kids and take us to the ice cream truck. And I used to always say to my mother, you know what, someday I'm going to be a policeman. Coming to Millville gave me that opportunity. Being in grade school, and there's a program called by the Boy Scouts, Police Explorers. Mm-hmm. I was able to join that.
Oh, nice.
So once I became a member of that, my eyes was just open, and you know, to myself, hey, this is my career. I'm going to be a policeman once I become an adult. And fortunate for me, it happened that way.
Yeah, so you were a police officer for how many years?
27 years.
27 years. And
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about, I know that you had your ups and downs, great service, but 12 years ago, you had a traumatic event happen in your life that perhaps changed the rest of your life. Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I got something called E. coli from eating a bad hamburger, and changed my life around. Was sick for 6 months.
You was actually in a coma.
I was actually in a coma for 40 plus days.
40 plus days.
I lost both of my kidneys, and by the grace of God, I'm working on a 4-year kidney transplant, healthy as can be. So that really changed the way I was going in my life. But by the grace of God, it opened my eyes. It made me appreciate life even more. And I think that was one of the main reasons, speaking to my wife of 33 years, we've been married for 33 years, she says, you know, this is the time for you to give back to the city that has given you so much.
During that period of time, I think I mentioned, I read one of your quotes, how the city really surrounded you and your family during that desperate time that you
Absolutely.
really were in need of support.
Absolutely. My wife, although I was in the hospital, the people just came out. Actually, one of the hospital had to turn away people who were giving blood because I needed donations of blood. They had to give, tell people, back up. We have so much,
Right.
Which was so appreciative. And, I'm glad I'm on your show today because really, you really don't get to really thank people, as the years go by. But I just want to remind people again from within the city of Millville, really South Jersey, thank you for what they've done for me and my family.
Well, and apparently you set a good example, just like Officer Moore, that you recall from your youth. As a police officer, you decided to run for school board as your first call to service after being a police officer, and you were the top vote getter. And then you decided eventually to run for mayor. So what made you make that big leap?
Well, again, I got to go back to what was given to me. So with the school board, going through the Millville High School system, knowing a lot of people that were there, I thought this is a great opportunity to start my political career. Let me start with the school board. And fortunately for me, I was a top vote getter. And I was able to get onto the board. And the president, who just passed away just recently, Bill Herman, was my chief of police for many years. And he was the board president. So it was a great experience for me. And while there, I kept saying to my wife, I need to do more. There's more to this that I need to accomplish, and that's when I made my mind that I had to run for city commission.
It just brings to mind the importance of having role models.
Correct.
And certainly Officer Moore served as a role model, and you have served certainly as a role model when you lived up to expectation, many other role models along the way. What message you give to the community, particularly Latino community, about getting involved and serving their community?
Well, I think the best thing, the best message I give, and I do this to my kids. I have 2 young men, boys. You gotta be positive. Don't let anything let you down. I'm a prime example of somebody that battled with death, and because of my family and the friends and the community around me, was able to survive and having a positive outlook. There's nothing in this world that can get you down. Only yourself can get you down. So I always tell my kids, be positive. The sun will always come up in the morning.
Exactly.
So think about that.
So you're mayor for about a year and a half now,
Go ahead.
over a year
2
and a
years,
half,
yeah.
almost 2 years, right? How has it been? Has been living up to your expectations?
Well, I tell you this, it's an education every day. Not expecting to be mayor, not expecting to be the top vote getter. It's a challenge, but it's different in the way that we're under a WASH Act. Actually, there's 5 commissioners, and the mayor basically is the one that runs the meetings and is basically the public servant who goes out,
Right.
does the welcoming, does the new business, ribbon cutting, things like that. And I'm very proud to be that, and I'm proud to be able to represent the city of Millville. But at the same time, being the first Hispanic school board member, top vote getter, first Hispanic city commissioner, top vote getter, and then being the mayor, like I said, it's beyond my expectations of life.
This is a good place to stop because we want to talk a little bit about the progress in Millville and some of the things that are happening there in Millville. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. I have the pleasure of continuing my discussion with the City of Millville's first Hispanic mayor, Mayor Santiago. We had a pretty good discussion about a little bit about your background, what motivated you to become a police officer, and certainly talk about the importance of getting our community involved. You've been in mayor for almost 2 years, and you've seen a lot of progress in the city of Millville. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in Millville.
Well, as you know, we years back we went into it as an art district. We had lost some business, but I see a new rejuvenation of businesses coming back to the city of Millville. Constantly every month, I know I'm going to a different ribbon cutting at a new business, which is very promising to us. I think having our Levoy Theater, I think it's a great attraction for all of South Jersey. As you know, we're in partnership with the County of Cumberland Freeholders and also the County College. We're going to have a new innovation center that's going to be built within the city of Millville. I said, so we have a lot of promising things that are coming to our town, and I'm really proud of what we're doing and how forward we're moving.
I know when Mayor Quinn and others were talking about starting a arts district, there were some naysayers, and it took a little while for that to take ground and to come to fruition. And so you feel that you met the goals that originally was trying to establish in terms of setting the arts district, or you still have a ways to go?
I think we still have a ways to go. I think that there's always improvement as you go on. So let's take it to as highest as we can. Let's peak as the highest peak we can. I don't think we've peaked there yet. Of course, the recession did a lot of damage to a lot of communities, and I think Millville was one of the ones that was hit the worst. So there's always improvement, and I'm looking forward for that.
Well, what do you think is driving some of the venue that you have there in Millville in terms of the arts? Obviously, I think the fact that you have some riverfront facilities there, and that you have commitment from a lot of community members as well as businesses. Do you feel that's the driver?
Absolutely. I think that the people that you have within the community are not going to let this community fall. I think that as you see, as my time as mayor comes in or goes by, you can see a larger partnership of the community coming together. Just recently, I just promoted a new captain to the chief of police. And just in a week or so, we've made so many changes. We have a neighborhood crime watch that's being established. On September 26th, we're going to go to one of our city parks, and we're inviting all the community to come in so we can establish neighborhood crime watches. Because the police can't do it all by themselves. We need people to help us. So I think, positively we move it in the right direction. And I have to give credit to the 4 other commissioners and also those people that have stepped up within the city of Millville that want to see a change in a positive way. And as we go on, the partnership gets stronger and stronger. And I think that's what's really moving us.
Of course, having the police background, you were credited coming in that you were going to be focused a lot on the quality of life issues and policing issues. You feel that you're making a dent in that regard?
I'll say this. We have a new chief in the last 2 weeks, and it takes a long time to reverse the effects that are there. But I think as days go on, they're promising. This didn't happen overnight. We're not going to correct all of our problems overnight. But if you have the right people in place, the administration of the police department, which I believe we have, with Chief Farabella and Captain Bear, I think that we're moving in the right direction. Again, it's a mindset. That mindset was there. Now it's our job now to change it in a positive way so we can move the entire city of Millville forward. There's a lot there to be accomplished, but I think that it's something that if we take on, we can do it.
You mentioned the business community that you've engaged in terms of the Arts Center, and a big piece and a big lift was engaging the rest of the community, particularly minority community in town, to get engaged with the police and with community policing. Tell me a little bit of how you've been able to accomplish that.
Well, it's all within the police department, I think. We need to change the way we police. Back in the day when I was a police officer, we got out of the cars, we talked to people. Unfortunately, we're down in numbers as police. We need more police officers. When you see me go to these different public events, what can we do to reduce crime? Give me 20 more police officers so we can put them in different spots and different places so they can be there and be seen. But I think as a community, the police can't do it by themselves. And I don't know if I'm answering your question, because when you start talking about police work, I get excited because I see what the future.
Well, the police can't do it alone. They obviously need the community partners.
Absolutely.
And you are working on engaging those community partners.
That's a very, very big part of what we want to do. And I have a chief now that's standing next to me, and I'm standing next to him, and we're going to accomplish this.
Well, I see a lot of improvement. Certainly been downtown to the art district several times. I've had meetings there. It's very beautiful, and things are looking pretty good. So commend you and the rest of the commissioners, because obviously a lot of work that the commissioners done over the years to get to this point.
Absolutely.
And you're picking the ball to take it to the next level. So I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and get to know more about you. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with another guest and more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. For our next segment, we want to revisit a previous interview with Mayor Twiddle of Pleasantville to talk about some of the things that are happening there in that city. Let's listen in. The city of Pleasantville is in the process of a major transformation, and leading that effort is the mayor of that city, Mayor Jesse Twiddle. Mayor, welcome to Latino Motion.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I know Pleasantville is, there's a lot of construction going on, and we could see the skyline changing somewhat there in Pleasantville. So we wanted to talk a little bit about exactly what is being developed there in the city. Tell me a little bit about that project, particularly the main project right there in Main Street.
Yeah, to begin with, it's not just the construction, it's the cleaning up Main Street. We have design criteria where the windows should look uniform and clean and be able to see through. We have major drug busts on Main Street. This is all the things that we're doing in preparation of our city center project. We have RPM developer who we hand selected by way of going up to North Jersey and seeing some of the oldest buildings that they erected, and was very impressed. So we chose them as the developer. The project is, the first phase is called Block 85. You have from Main Street, from Washington Avenue to Milan, and that's going to be 18,000 square feet of retail business. Above that will be 65 apartments. It's going to be 80% affordable, 20% market. And that building will be called Main Street City Center, and it'll say RPM, an RPM community. On Milan Avenue, that's going to be 65 units. And right now we have 85% occupancy. Main Street we have 45%, I'm sorry. And we still have over 800 applications. So we're very proud of that building.
So essentially, the whole development is going to have store fronts facing Main Street.
Yes, just Main Street. Just on Main Street would be the retail portion of it.
Then above and back, we see all the rest of the building, which is basically all housing units.
Right.
And so this is not your projects. These are not your typical low housing income. Tell me a little bit about what they could expect inside these buildings,
Yes.
these apartments.
These apartments are something you have to see to believe. It's the stainless steel appliances, hardwood floor. They have a community room, library with computers, flat screen TVs. It's really impressive to see the library for the kids, the books and so forth that they'll be using. The market rate units will have granite tops, and they have their own washing machine and dryer.
You mentioned some of the prep work that you've been doing, obviously, to make this not just a beautiful new site, but also to clean up the neighborhood, if you will, to make sure that it attracts the residents as well as the businesses. And with all the things that are happening right now as far as the economy, you still think you're going to get a good amount of response in terms of the units and also the storefronts?
Yeah, we feel very comfortable about that. About several months ago, myself, code enforcement, chief of police, and one council member, we walked up and down Main Street for a number of hours, talking to the residents, letting them know that we're there for them. I'm in the process of putting the ordinance together to develop an advisory board. And that way, people can be more involved in making decisions in Pleasantville. And it seems to be a lot of interest of people who live in Atlantic City because of taxes, not just the residents. You have businesses that are interested in coming over here because of the high taxes in Atlantic City.
And Pleasantville is just a few miles away from Atlantic City. I do recall at one point in time in the inlet, before the casino industry, was Little San Juan, basically, in Atlantic City. And when the casinos came, there was a mass exodus of Latinos that went to Pleasantville. In fact, right now you stand at about 40% Latino population in Pleasantville. Is that correct?
Yeah, that range is anywhere between 40 to 50%. It's in that range.
So if someone's interested in perhaps applying for the housing that's now going to be available there in Pleasantville, what would they need to do?
There's a trailer on site. There's a telephone number as well. You can go on site. I don't have the website, but there's a trailer on site with the telephone number. You can call and...
We'll make sure to put it up on the screen, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, you can call that number and they'll ask you to submit an application.
All right, so basically it's just an application process and it's competitive. How are people selected?
They're very select in their tenants. They do background checks, credit checks, and so forth and all. And what's really good about it, the reason why they're able to maintain high quality building is because they have a manager that lives in the building.
As far as the affordable units, is there an income criteria? How would these individuals get qualified?
No, there's no income. It's not income restricted or age restricted. It's affordable and market rate.
Market rate. Again, so we'll be able to get that website and phone number up on the screen. We mentioned about the large Latino population. Are you doing anything special to make sure the Latino community knows about this? I know this is the purpose of you being here on the show, but other things that you're doing to make sure the word gets out.
Well, we just recently received a $460,000 grant to do what they call a streetscape project that runs from Black Horse Pike on Main Street to Ansley Boulevard. In that area, you have the Mambo Cafe and you have La Concepta Supermarket. That area is Decatur Avenue and Main Street, which is highly populated by the Latino population. We have had several meetings there, economic development meetings. I've had my Mayor's Association meetings there. So we really have a high involvement with the Latino population.
I want to continue that discussion. My good friend Jose Marin, who happens to own the Mambo Cafe in La Concepta, is very active in the community.
Yes, he is.
And hopefully a lot of businesses, a lot of Latino businesses and regular businesses could benefit from what's going on in the city. We once again want to thank Mayor Twiddle for that interview. And right now I want to thank you, Mayor Santiago, once again for joining us here on Latino Motion. I hope you stay tuned for more Latino Motion next week.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.